Hi, everyone. Welcome to the What Would Dorsey Do this Friday. I'll give you guys a few minutes here, a few seconds here to pop on. Hello, everyone. I'm Dorsey Pruter, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute. And today I want to bring you some critical components or ingredients, if you will, of communicating effectively with your alienated children so that they will respond and reunite with you. And today I find this topic come up quite a bit in our company. We have a lot of people that call us that are really tired of feeling like their child hates them, and they're really stuck in believing this narrative that their alienated child doesn't love them. And so they're either on the verge of giving up or on the verge of, or maybe even just not responding, and really feeling very stuck in the situation with their kids, and believing that they're not able to actually communicate. And for those of you who might not know what alienation is, it really is this complex and often very distressing experience that arises out of many times the context of a separation or a divorce. And it's referred to a situation where a child becomes estranged or emotionally distant or cut off from one of their parents. And typically there's a group of factors, if you will, that really drives the emotional cutoff or the split in the parent-child relationship. And this usually includes influence of the other parent, sometimes external sources like grandparents or other predominant adults in the child's life. And a lot of people think that it's just bad mouthing, but I want to be clear that bad mouthing could be an ingredient of the alienation process, but isn't necessarily the main driving force. And so today we're going to really explore the concept of alienation in a little bit of a deeper depth and really examine its causes, the signs, the impact of both you, the parent, and the child. And then once we understand a little bit more about alienation, then we'll go a little deeper into how do you communicate with an alienated child. So for those of you that are fully cut off from your child, this is for you. Or for those of you who are communicating with your child, but you're getting nasty messages, this is also for you. And so today's lesson is really, or today's What Would Dorsey Do is really giving you the components of what is required to really show up differently or speak differently to your alienated child. So to fully understand alienation, it's really crucial to establish a clear definition. So alienation is not a clinical diagnosis. However, it is a phenomenon that occurs when a child rejects and resists a relationship with one of their parents. And this happens without a justifiable reason, such as that the rejected parent is abusing or neglecting the child. And this rejection is often fueled by distortions and false beliefs about this parent, and or taking kernels of truth about the parent and twisting and distorting them and making them something that they're not. So outright lies or twisted and distorted lies about the parent. And this is usually done by the parent that the child is aligned with. Sometimes there are other influences like mental health or grandparents or other people involved in the family. And while alienation can be sparked by a variety of different factors, it commonly arises with high conflict divorce. And the dynamics between the parents play a significant role in the development and progression of a child experiencing a emotional cutoff with a parent. So when there are diagnostic symptoms present where the child is experiencing a dysfunction in their attachment to a relationship or to a parent they once had a relationship with, they are demonstrating patterns of behavior like a narcissistic or borderline parent, and or they have a fixed and false belief about their parent, then you can pretty much rest assured that this child is experiencing some level of parental alienation. So they're experiencing negative influences by a parent and the allied parent. And oftentimes that parent has psychological vulnerabilities, maybe a personality disorder or the fingerprinting of that, some of the behaviors, and oftentimes unresolved childhood trauma. So there are significant commonalities in the targeted parent, the alienated parent as well, such as they don't want to rock the boat. They're worried about the child not wanting to make it hard for them, making it easy, kind of feeding the narrative that the other parent, maybe the mental health professionals or court are saying, they're worried about forcing the child to do something they don't want to do, and then realizing that this is exactly what needs to happen, is to keep their parenting time and keep communication going. Otherwise, as a targeted parent, you could be contributing to your own alienation by not enforcing parenting plans and court orders and things of that nature. So some of the common things we see in parents is that they're a little soft or they're too aggressive, right? You respond to aggression with aggression, or no response. You just disappear out of your child's life. And these things are contributing factors that we commonly see in these family cases, these family law cases, where child and a parent are experiencing an emotional cutoff, alienation. So it's important to recognize these signs and identify them within your own situation and address them sooner rather than later. And again, some of the common indicators is the child has an unwarranted fear towards you, or hatred, or a strong negative emotion towards you for no apparent reason, or for a reason that wouldn't warrant that type of response, because if the relationship was still intact, the child would still be in relationship with you. The marital relationship was still intact. So it's important to realize that you could be contributing to the narrative or the alienation that's going on unconsciously. So this isn't to say you're doing something wrong and you're a bad parent. This is to say that you should be aware of some of these things so that you can shift how you're showing up, so that you can create a soft place for your beloved child to land. And a child may experience, things about you that may be true that have been exploited and used against you. And they will then express extreme loyalty towards the other parent if the other parent has unmanaged emotions and they're unable to keep the adult situation as adults. And so it's really important, as you are learning these skills today and thinking about how you got to where you are, how are you showing up? And what are the beliefs? What is the narrative about you that is being said that can be shifted so that by how you show up, so that you can create that soft place for your child to land? So as a beloved chosen parent, which means, I coined this phrase, the chosen parent is the parent that the child is choosing to lead the family out of the pathology. So if this is your first time hearing me speak about this, I truly believe and have come to prove this point out many, many times in my business, is that while you may feel rejected, your child is choosing you because you're the healthier of the two parents. You're the parent who's willing to go the distance to learn the skills needed to recover the family dynamic, to recover the family system. So while you may feel like you are the rejected parent, it's really important to think of yourself and in a reframe, which is the chosen parent, that your child knows that you're the one who's going to do the work. You're the one who's going to shift how you show up. And oftentimes when you're dealing with this family dynamic, it's hard to see that because the child may be expressing extreme loyalty to the other parent, and maybe even aligning themselves solely with them and their perspective and their beliefs and their narrative around rejecting you, and saying and doing all of the same things. And it's really, really mission critical to recover your children, to shift your mindset around this, to really understand who you authentically are as the chosen parent, so that you can move from a place of hopelessness to a place of hope. And in the strategy, in the opening of hope, opens you up to taking information in, implementing it, and creating a new plan and strategy around what it is that you want, and moving into doing that. So moving from hope to possibility. So possibility thinking then leads to probability because you can actually implement. So alienation can have a profound and lasting effect on both you and your child. And the alienated parent, you, often leads, when you're experiencing this emotional cutoff, feelings of sadness, rejection, maybe even loss of your identity. Who am I if I'm not mom? Who am I if I'm not dad? And you may experience a decline in your own mental health and well-being, as well as facing maybe societal stigma, isolation. Some parents move into addictive behavior, maladaptive behaviors, suicide ideation. All of those things are all common in untreated pathology, right? Untreated alienation, experiencing being stuck in this this emotional roller coaster of loss of time and connection with your child. Now, your child, they also suffer from psychological harm. So they have things like anxiety and depression, difficulty forming relationships, early onset sexual behavior, drugs and alcohol, cutting, and emotional detachment, and in worst case scenario, suicide ideation and suicide. So this is a very serious matter. And, there's a lot of naysayers about parental alienation, which I understand, because alienation is not a diagnosable pathology. So when we look at it from what it actually is, which is child psychological abuse, then we can say, okay, this is the actual problem. I don't want to do a deep dive into that today because I talk a lot about that in a lot of other videos that we have. Today, I really want to talk about what it means to show up differently and how to actually show up differently. So the what and the why of the critical components of showing up differently for your child to be that soft place to land. And when you understand the psychological factors contributing to the alienation, it really does have this effect on your ability to manage the situation. And some of the key concepts of parental alienation or parental manipulation, maybe coercive control, dysfunctional attachment system, personality disordered parenting, which then gives the fingerprinting of the traits in the kids, delusional disorders, unresolved childhood trauma, maybe in one and sometimes both parents. These are all driving forces of the child experiencing an emotional cutoff, being alienated from you. And all of this leads to you feeling lost and confused and believing that your child hates you, when in fact that's not true. They love you and they want you to seek the help that you need to learn the skills so that you can help them get out of this situation. They just don't know how to communicate this to you. And there are brain systems called psychological connection systems that really allow us to feel what other people feel. And they're based in the mirroring neurons, which is a very specific brain cell. So many studies have shown that the brain cells show that we can understand what intentions are behind what people's actions are. And there are 4 primary intentions, 2 for building relationships and 2 for personal growth. And the 2 for building relationships are the intent to understand, curiosity to understand the other person's world. So what your child's perspective is, or for yours, what your perspective is, and what it's like to be them, and then the intent to be with. So this shows that we care about the other person. This is this intention to be with, close to somebody. And it's really powerful in building relationships. I just want to be with you, not necessarily do something. I just want to be with you because I enjoy being with you. And then as we mature, the intentions of intent to task and intent to change. And the main focus there is really getting things done. Obviously, the intent to task. So prioritizing preferences and emotions like schoolwork and extracurricular and those kinds of things. And the mindset really is prioritizing tasks to accomplish things over our personal desires. And then the other aspect is the intent to change somebody's behavior. And this happens when we don't like what someone is doing and we want them to do something else instead. And in this case, our intent to change their behavior takes precedence over our feelings and desires. And it doesn't matter what you want or feel or you need. It's this intention behind it of wanting something to change. And this intention helps the brain develop in terms of being able to control impulse in our social situation. However, when it's running amok, then it can create a spiraling effect of alienation. So if you have an intent to change the other parent, if you have an intent to change your child's behavior, if you have an intent to, or your child has an intent for you to change, then you guys can get stuck in an emotional roller coaster in a spiral, round and round and round and round you go. So it's important to be aware of our intentions while we're parenting, as the child's brain is designed to read them. And same thing with you. If you're unconscious of it, you may be misreading things or assigning information or intention behind things that may not actually be there. So an intent to task or change can be perceived as really criticism. It can be received as self-centered. It can be received as the inversion of the family hierarchy. So you can see how this is something that gets wired in early on in the divorce process. And it feels like alienation happens overnight, and all of a sudden the light switches on and the child is no longer spending time with you, and you're misreading and they're misreading, and round and round and round you go. And it almost feels like the pathogenic parent, the narcissistic borderline parent, there's probably a little truth to this, is puppeteering in the background. You know, the child is just acting out. They know where all of your buttons are, push, 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 and you and the child are dancing in a puppet show. And so this really leads me to help you guys understand that having effective communication with your alienated child can really create the space and opportunity for reunification. And when we understand these intentions and we respond, or we proactively communicate from a different place, then we open up that space, that soft place for your children to land. So I hope this is making sense. I'm just going to pop into the comments here. Beautiful. Okay, see my team. Oh, congratulations, Virginia. That's awesome. Very exciting. Hi, Heather. Nice to see you both here. Thank you for commenting. Okay, so you guys are checking. Awesome. Let me go ahead and dive in a little bit today. I want to talk about the 5 critical components of effective communication with alienated children to really create the space and opportunity for them to fold back in, for you to be the soft place for them to land, to really create a solid relationship and reunification. So as an alienated parent, of course, you know how painful it feels when your child says they hate you, or it can be so frustrating when they ignore your calls or your texts, or they refuse to spend time with you. And or even worse, they send you the most vile and hateful, rude and disrespectful text messages. Oftentimes you're reading those thinking it's your ex, and oftentimes it is. And then you think about how you respond to those things. So to really fully shift how you're showing up, to really fully reunite with your alienated children, the first critical component is patience. And while this first component or ingredient is annoying, it is critical when you're communicating with your alienated child to have patience with this lobbing of delusions coming your way. It takes time to heal those wounds, and rebuilding trust doesn't happen overnight. Even though it feels like alienation happened overnight, it actually didn't. It happened oftentimes before the relationship was even split. The marital relationship is over. You just didn't know. And so we oftentimes have expectations that our children should know better when we didn't necessarily know better when we were in the intact marriage or relationship and we went through the separation and divorce. And so having some patience for your child and understanding that they're unaware of the pathology is a gift to them and also a gift to you, having patience and grace with yourself as you're building again from this new foundation. And again, you didn't get here overnight, even if it feels that way. The alienation process took time. And when you're patient with yourself, it opens the space for hope. And then the strategies will come through for you to implement. And some of you may be feeling hopeless right now. And some of you may even have been at this for a really long time with all the wrong strategies and skills. And some of you, like Virginia, maybe you've been here for a while and you're implementing skills and you're starting to figure it out. And you're here because you want to deepen what it is that you are already doing correctly. So when you're patient with yourself, this opens that space of the soft place for your children to land. And maybe you've been so patient that you've been waiting for your child to come around someday. And this is not what I'm talking about. So I'm referring to slowing yourself down, your emotions down, and taking time to learn new skills and implementing them. Your child is suffering and they're secretly wanting you to figure things out so that they can get out of this untenable situation. And they've been patiently waiting for you, poking at you with their cruelty and maybe the other parents parroting through their mouth. So don't take those words personally, which will lead me to the next ingredient. So when your child says, stop contacting me, I never want to see you again, what do you think their intent is? It's a good question to be thinking about. Is the intent for connection? Is the intent for you to change? Maybe the intent is for you to change. Maybe it's both of those. And I share this here to kind of plant the seed. They are poking at you because they need and want something different. And a lot of people get triggered here and will say, well, it's the other parent. The other parent is doing this thing. Poke, poke, poke. It's the other parent. And let me just remind you here that even if all of those things are true and it's the other parent, you are the parent the child chose to do the internal work, to do this work, to shift how you're showing up. That's why they're poking at you, because they want you to create that beautiful, soft place for them to land. And that leads into the second ingredient here, which is empathy. Building parental empathy is an essential component when it comes to reconnecting with alienated children. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of your child. So in the context of parental alienation, it involves being able to put ourselves in the shoes of our children and truly comprehend their emotional experience. And when we develop empathy, as parents, we can foster a safe and secure environment for our children, allowing the rebuilding of the parent-child relationship. That is the only relationship you're responsible for, this relationship with your beloved child. And empathy is the number one strategy you as an alienated parent can implement right now to start reuniting with your alienated children and establish consistent, positive communication. And it can be done firstly by understanding their emotions and expressing your own in a respectful, non-confrontational manner. And it's important to show empathy, patience, and persistence, even in the face of rejection. So you've got to regularly reach out to them with messages of unconditional love and support without any expectation or pressure for them to respond to you. This is hard until it isn't, and then it's easy, but it's a steady stream of positivity, which may only be coming from you, can slowly break down the walls of alienation and open the door for reunification, for reconnection, for resurfacing of the unbreakable bond. So as the door opens, then you need to cultivate empathetic listening. And empathetic listening is simple. It's active listening, truly hearing what the other person, your child, has to say without interrupting or getting defensive. Now, this skill will help you build trust between you and your child again. So active listening does not mean you have to agree with everything that your child is saying. It just means you hear and understand what your child is saying. So active listening is a crucial skill that allows you to really fully understand and empathize with the perspective and experience of the alienated child. It involves giving your undivided attention, maintaining eye contact, and using verbal or nonverbal cues to show that you are engaged in the conversation if you're speaking directly to the child. Now, there's ways to do that also in text and email communication. And for those of you that are in therapy, in reunification therapy, implementing these skills in therapy can be the critical component that kicks the door open and allies the mental health provider, or shuts the door and makes it really challenging for you to get them to work with you. And then the fourth ingredient is validation. Validation means acknowledging their feelings, even if you don't agree with them fully. As you validate or acknowledge their emotions, they will feel heard and understood, which can lead to a more positive relationship between you and your child. Now, don't misunderstand me here. This does not mean apologize for things you have not done, okay? It means you can validate that your child is hurt, that your child is suffering, that your child is angry, and that you get it, okay? You can show empathy and compassion by saying things like, I can see that you're feeling really frustrated right now. Sounds like that situation made you feel sad. Validating their emotions really helps them to feel heard and understood, and fostering a sense of trust in the relationship. And then the fifth component is consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. This is key when you're trying to build or rebuild a relationship with an alienated child. You have to keep showing up, even if things are tough, even if they're being rude and disrespectful, even if they demand that you don't show up, because over time, when you do show up, this builds trust and it leads the child back into a healthy relationship. It builds your parental authority. It informs the child without saying it to them that you love them no matter what, no matter how they're showing up, no matter what they're saying, that your love is unconditional, that you're present for them, and that you're the parent and you can rise above. So taking the high road can be really challenging until it isn't, and then it's easy. Consistently reaching out with messages of unconditional love and acceptance of your child is critical. Remember, you're rebuilding a strong foundation. And for rebuilding the parent-child relationship, this requires you to continuously put in the effort, put in the understanding, put in the compassion and empathy for your child. So you have to consistently prioritize empathy, trust, and effective communication so that you can restore the bond between you and your alienated child. You're fostering a healthy and loving relationship. And don't get mired. It's easy to get mired, I should say. So be mindful of getting mired in the old narrative of the other parent, changing them. Your intention when communicating with your child should be the intention to seek to be with, okay? Now, you don't have to speak it out loud. Your intention, your unspoken intention comes through how you communicate. So if your unspoken intention is to change, then that's going to come across as critical of your child, and they will feel it, and then they will act out. But if your intention is to be with, you don't have to speak it. Open your heart to be in that space. And when you open your heart to be in that space, these components become easy. It becomes easy to do these things. So catch yourself. Notice where you're showing up, how you're showing up, what's your mindset. So just remember, as you're incorporating these ingredients into your communication style as an alienated parent, reconnecting becomes possible once again. And just remember that rebuilding relationships takes time, but through patience, empathy, active, empathetic listening, validation, and consistency, you can make progress towards healing the relationship that has been damaged due to long-term separation from your beloved child. And being an alienated parent can be super lonely and isolating. And it really can be a struggle for parents. We see it out on social media. If you're in this group or any of our groups or other groups, so much suffering. And what we see a lot of is feeding of this suffering, the spinning and spinning and spinning in the pain. And it's not necessary for you to do that. These are the things that you can reframe and refocus on. What do you want? and realign yourself into experiences that are not lonely and isolating, that are uplifting and solution focused. And I don't have time to go deeply into all of these concepts today, so I really actually want to share with you an opportunity to join me live in a private 3-day webinar that I'm actually going to be doing with clients that join in this process. We have successfully helped hundreds of parents, really thousands of people, navigate the rough waters of alienation and really implement these effective communication skills to reunite with their beloved children through many of our different modalities of coaching and online coursework. And one of the things that keeps coming up for people is people in our groups are really looking for key ways to, or specific ways to communicate with their alienated children. And there are so many things and so many moving parts and so many components that I decided to put together a class based on our experience, based on the data that we review. So we have a program called Custody Resolution Method where we actually look at thousands and thousands, really probably millions of pieces of data through the years, which is communication between parents and communication between a child and a parent. And we work with parents and really guiding them through a process, both if they're in the legal battle, how to handle these things legally. And then we have coaching for the client where we walk them through what's happening in their family and how to show up differently. And some themes have come forward. And so we've designed a new class called Communication for Reunification. So for those of you who want to join me live in this private course that I'll be filming and recording live, not here on social, in a different format, then let me tell you a little bit about how we will be working together. We're going to dive deeper into these strategies to really master text messages, emails, and calls with your alienated child. And we truly believe, based on our experience, years of experience, that effective communication plays a pivotal role in rebuilding relationships and regaining trust with your children. And our comprehensive content will really equip you with the tools to overcome the challenges and barriers faced in the process. So I want to make offer an opportunity for you today to enroll in the Communication for Reunification workshop, where you'll gain the comprehensive understanding of those significant and effective communication skills in the context of reunification with an alienated child. So diving deeper in the specifics of, if your child says this, this is how you respond. This is how you lead. These are the types of communications using this framework with specificity. When this happens, if you respond this way, this is what will happen. And when you respond or you act proactively in a certain way, how you actually implement these skills that I'm teaching you today to really get your child to pull back in. So these insights are really the important components of rebuilding a relationship and regaining trust with alienated children. So they're specific to this family dynamic. And there are strategies that will help you overcome these challenges and barriers that you keep encountering during the process. And I'll be teaching this live, so we'll be in a webinar format, and I'll be teaching these strategies live, and we'll cover, again, the common mistakes that parents make when they respond or don't respond to their alienated children. We see these themes, they've emerged through the years. We know what the common themes are. We know based on the diagnostic symptoms in the child. We can tell what kind of parent is the co-parent. You don't even have to tell us. We can tell by how the child is showing up, what's going on, and how you shift how you show up. Because here's the truth. You can't change other people. You can only shift and change how you show up. And then I'll let you in on a little secret. When you do that, you actually then help the other person shift and change how they show up. It's that it's the mirroring neurons that I was talking about at the beginning of this webinar, right? This when we change our brain function, when we change how we're wired, and we change how we're showing up, how we're communicating, it creates the mirroring neurons to be fired. activates mirroring neurons in the other person. They get fired off in a different way, and you start to get into sync with each other. And what happens in these alienation situations is everything is all right, messed up. So the goal is to get you working back together. And when you shift how you show up, everybody and everything around you shifts. That's just the way it works. It's the way that we are wired and as human beings. So in the live training, I'm going to go through this deeper. I'm going to give you concrete examples, and you'll have a workbook and some worksheets to go through with specific examples that we commonly see in this family dynamic, so that you can put them into play immediately, use them right away. Consistency. How do you consistently show up? Some of the things we hear from parents is, well, I don't know my child anymore. I don't know anything about him. Well, you do. You were in your child's life before. So even if time has passed, you still know your child, who they authentically are. So you can start to speak to that authentic child again. And we'll go through how to discover that again, who that child is. They're still who they are, right? So we get past the surface stuff and we dive deeply into the authenticity of the child. On the second day, it's a 3-day live event. On the second day, we will be picking 3 lucky winners. So once you enroll in the course, you can apply to do a coaching hot seat with me live. So I will be reviewing your information before the call. So I'll look at your communication, and then you and I, so 3 people, there's only going to be time for 3 of you, but I can assure you that the 3 people, if not all of them, will have something in common with your situation. And I will actively coach and role play with 3 lucky parents who will sit in the role play with me and guide you through how to communicate with your alienated child to get them to reunite with you, to fold back in. So I'll take the communication that you have, what the way you're showing up now, and how you can shift how you're showing up. And we'll use your actual active data. So your communication with your child now. And don't worry, even if they're not showing up, or even if they're not communicating, I'll probably pick one person like that too, because that is a common thread. And we want you to know how to respond to those things, or actually how to open up the door so the child will fold back in. So day 1, I'm going to teach all the skills. I'm going to go deeply in explaining it, going through examples, showing you what the common communication style is and what the common responses are and what is correct and what is not correct. So how you can actually shift how you're showing up so you can get your children to fold back in. And then on day 3, I'm going to open up for live Q&A. So questions and answers about the content, and really just answering your questions so you guys really understand, like, from your specific situation, just the tweak here and there that can really help you to get your child or your children to fold back in. So all of that we will be teaching live. Let me look at the date and make sure I'm correct. Okay, so November 15th through the 17th. And we're offering this class right now at a low price. It's the only time it's going to be offered at this price. And it's the only time I'm teaching it live. So I'm teaching it live and it's $97. So less than $100. You can come and work with me live for 3 days, three webinars where I will be teaching these skills, specific examples, role playing, doing 3 coaching hot seats and role playing with 3 parents, and then answering your questions at the end to make sure that you understand what we're teaching and understand how to implement that. So if my team, if you want to put the link in the, it looks like they did, the link in the comments, you guys can enroll. And if you're ready to learn the specifics on how and what to say to your alienated children, using these principles that we've been teaching our clients for almost 2 decades, and our clients that have shifted from some of the most severe alienated situations to reuniting with their children. And this is an incredible opportunity. I do these live things every once in a while. Generally, I will teach something like this live one time. And so this is a great opportunity to actually come in and work and learn some specifics about communication. And as a reminder, the workshop is live. However, if you enroll and you can't be there at the live time, that's okay. We will be recording them and you will be able to access the replay. And you have the opportunity to just remember to submit your situation to my team, and we'll select 3 winners so that you can come on day 2 and we'll role play out. So we'll role play your situation and I'll coach you on how to do things differently to really get your child to pull back into relationship with you. And everyone that everyone that enrolls on this live, if you're on the live right now and you're listening, my team doesn't even know I'm going to do this. So they're like, oh, I'm sure, crap, what is she going to do? If you're in the live right now and you sign up for the class right now, we're going to give you access for 1 month to our Chosen Parent Collective. So if you don't know what that is, the Chosen Parent Collective is a monthly live support group, if you will, that is hosted by me. I think it's the second Wednesday of every month. So this will happen right before or right after our training. So if you sign up today, you're on the live, you're on this right now, and you sign up right now, I'm going to give you access to 1 month of the Chosen Parent Collective. So you'll get to come to a live call with a group of chosen parents where I answer questions in the live. So, sorry, team. So if you click the link, you enroll today, you get the 3-day live webinar. I'm going to teach these skills. I'm going to help you dive deeper into showing up differently. And then I'm going to do 3 hot seats. So you can submit to be a part of a hot seat. So you can come to a hot seat training or day 2 hot seat where I'm going to coach you through, I'll call it the love seat. We had somebody in a class called the love seat. We'll call it the love seat. I'm going to do a love seat where I will guide you through your personal communication with your client. I mean, our client, you, the client, your child, and how to shift your communication with them. So we'll role play and I'll coach you through that. And then on day 3, I'll answer questions. So we'll do a Q&A with you at the end. So on day 3, so that you'll have a couple days to really consume the information, watch the coaching, and see how it plays out. This is a very low introductory price. It's $97 to enroll today, and you'll get this deeper working with me and my team. So the live will be November 15th through the 17th. So if you enroll today, then we'll give you this bonus of 1 month of the Chosen Parent Collective. So let me pop in here and see if there are any questions for me. I saw somebody said, false accusations are these people's favorite thing. True. We'll go into false accusations too. So in the live training, I will also talk about false allegations and how to communicate with your child with regards to those. And then, really in that class too, we can talk deeper about how to handle those things legally. Actually, if you're in a battle right now and you're really struggling with false allegations and you're really struggling with, the court's understanding, reach out to my team and schedule a strategy call about the custody resolution method. It really is a powerful process where we review your data and we tag it and give it meaningful data output, and we work with your lawyer on the legal narrative. False allegations are not something you should take lightly. It is critically important that you address those properly. And just because you're innocent, don't assume that the court or that other people will take that road or that perspective. They usually don't. And, even though we live in a country in the US, anyways, if you're in the US, innocent until proven guilty, not really in family court. So it's really, really critically important that you make sure that you respond to those kinds of accusations properly. And yeah. Okay, let's see. Hi, Greg. Will this benefit if I'm a chosen parent, collective, and higher purpose? Yes, actually, because this class is very, very specific, I'm going to go through specifics of communication. So I'm going to literally give examples of communication, especially common themes of communication that we see in these cases, and then how most parents respond, because we see all of that too. We see what you guys are doing, and then how to respond differently, what you should say instead of what you're saying. And so, yes, it is different than the collective, and it is different than higher purpose parenting. If you're in a collective and higher purpose parenting, this builds on that. So higher purpose parenting is your inner game, right? That's about you and your inner game and really shifting all of those things from an inner game perspective. There's gonna be a little bit of that in the class, in the mindset piece. But this class, this communication for reunification class, is really specifically focused on communication. So when your kid says this, you say that using this framework. Okay, really understanding the components of effective conscious communication. So these are the things that are required, the framework. And then we'll take the framework and we'll give you specificity around how to use it in this family dynamic. And you know, we've seen, so I mean, you know, we've been around for a while, so we've seen so many people. We've seen a lot of content, we've seen a lot of emails, we've seen a lot of text messages, we've listened to audios, we've watched videos, you know, thousands and thousands of pieces of data. And believe it or not, most of you do the same thing. Most of you react the same way, respond the same way, say the same things. Your kids all say the same things. Your co-parents, there's a couple varieties of the pathology, but there's the pathology, you know, of narcissism. There's the pathology of borderline personality disorder. There's some of the pathology somewhere in between. Sometimes we see the dark triads. We see a lot of pathology. But even with all of the different kinds of pathology, the behaviors of the children are generally the same. So there are themes that we see, and there are themes that we see in how you are communicating and or not communicating. And so these are the things that are really holding a lot of parents stuck in this pathology and stuck in not fully reuniting and stuck out here in the blame game, right? And really shifting into the empowerment game. So this course is really about the specificity around how to communicate. So when they say this, you say that. We get asked this all the time. And yeah, so I just decided, okay, let's take this wealth of information that we have and create a course for people to actually use and follow. Now, because these things are common, we have common themes and common ways of communicating. The goal is not for you guys to become mind-numb robots, right? The goal is for you to add your flavor, your personality to the framework, right? The way that you're communicating with your personality. So you don't want to become me. You would look funny with long curly blonde hair anyways, Greg, but maybe. So, you know, you want to be you, but this is the framework so that you guys can add some specific languaging around how you're communicating with your children so that they will fold back in. Your intention is important, right? Why would you take the class? What is your intention? Is your intention to recover your relationship with your children? Then this class is for you. Is your intention to learn how to communicate so that your child will fold back into you? This class is for you. You know, if your intention is to try to get the other parent to change, this class isn't for you. You're not going to be able to do that. right? This, if this, if you're looking to try to change your child, that's not what this is about. This is about shifting how you show up so your child can fall back into you, so that your authentic child can rise back up to the surface. So your authentic child is there, okay? Your authentic child still resides within your child. So I was talking to a parent yesterday who said to me, he's on his way to court and he said, my child isn't there. She's not there anymore. I'm like, she's there. And he goes, well, I know she's there, but I'm doing this reunification therapy and it's not her. And I could feel his desire to walk away. And I'll say this here before I close, because, his child is showing up just like the mother, right? And so he's buying, you could feel him like believing the narrative, right? Well, she doesn't love me. She's lost, she's stuck, she's become the mother, and all of those things. And, I want to remind you, as I reminded him, that those things aren't true. That's the pathology. And the pathology wants you to believe that. And if you leave your child stuck there, then you're contributing to the child's dysfunction. And so the goal isn't to leave your child. The goal is to relieve your child, right? Relieve the child of having to be in the role that they're in. And it requires your leadership. And I'm going to end with one last little reminder that, with pathogenic parents, the issue isn't the issue, and enough is never enough. So if you walk away, so for those of you who are like, I can't do any of this, I'm walking away, I just want to remind you that the issue with them is never the issue, and walking away doesn't end their pathology. They're still pathogenic. And you have walked away from the child who's stuck there now without any outside resource, without anyone who is unconditionally loving them, without anyone demonstrating their ability to unconditionally love the child. And so, just as a reminder, this class is a way for you to learn how to communicate with your child in a way that is teaching them unconditional love, in a way that is reminding them that you love them no matter what, and that you're not going anywhere. And they are secretly relying on that. They secretly believe that you're going to do that. They secretly believe that you love them unconditionally. And you have to show them. You have to show them, especially when they're hearing something else. So, for those of you that are already enrolled, congratulations. Thank you so much. We are super excited to bring you this new content. I'm really excited to teach the class. For those of you who are in any of my other things that I do that have been around, I am very, very enthusiastic about this family dynamic and recovering children. I've been doing this work for a really long time. I am generous with my time and content. When you're in my world and fold in, I really, really want you to recover your relationship with your child. Having been a formerly alienated child and a parent myself, I am a parent and a step parent and experienced the pathology. I know what works. We've helped families all over the world recover their children. And these skills, we've packaged it in a way that will allow you to dive in and implement and shift how you're showing up. So thank you for joining me live today. I know I went longer than I was planning on it, but that's okay. It's Friday and it's lovely to see all of you. So for those of you that have already enrolled, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the live training. Don't forget to fill out the form if you want to sit in a hot seat. I'm really, really excited to be hot seating, love seating somebody and really taking you through the process in role playing with communicating with your child. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're on the fence, it's only $97. It's less than $100, and you can have some coaching time in this beautiful class with a group of parents just like you who are really ready to step up and recover your beautiful alienated children. So thank you. Have an amazing weekend. Remember, peace in so you can have peace out. It's my mantra. Okay, love you guys. Hi, Elizabeth and Heather. And Tay mine. That's a beautiful name. Tay Mind Royal. I don't know if that's your real name, but that's a cool name. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hi, Beth Peterson. Nice to see you. So good to see everyone. Dark Horse. Trina, I just want a few names that have commented in here. Thank you guys so much. Okay, have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.